Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a fun-filled broadcast right here on the channel of all channels, coming to you from iHeartRadio out there in Spreaker.com land, and on my YouTube channel. You can also find the show at its new home, alexmorganshow.org. That's alexmorganshow.org. For one disputing reason or another, we had to alter our domain. But, we're still here. We're still coming to you, even though it isn't burning, I do want to let y'all know that I got a new microphone over the Christmas holiday. It's been a while since I've been on the air, by the way. But been news in the world going on ever since I last came to y'all. I realize it's important. I hope y'all understand that life somehow intervenes in all of our plans and this and that, but I do what I can when I can, and that's about all I can do. But yeah, I hope y'all understand. Y'all are a pretty understanding audience. Now, when it comes to our call-in number, for the call-in for the podcast, and yeah, let me see what
I do want to express thanks to you.
Do about that. Give me just a second here. Let me get some lagging pretty bad. Got a few links up though right now. Let me close some of them bad boys out, and I'll be right with y'all. You can get a hold of us on Google Hangouts. I know that much, but I don't know my Google Hangout number. Shows you how good I am. There's been a Twittergate missile occurred, which the official story of the event was guy pushed the nuke button accidentally twice, so yeah, whatever. You can actually, on the website, you can watch it. I was going to say you could watch it on Facebook, but I don't guess you can. But you can call me on Facebook if you follow me. Got a lot of these windows that's still open. I'm trying to get rid of, by the way. Sitting here trying to figure out what they mean by this Lewinsky scandal. Oh, 20 years ago today. Well, stock set to soar, Dow 26,000. Soros fights back against populist foes. U.S.-China trade clash of titans. AT&T urged to cut ties with Chinese phone. Latest exposes Faith Hill, Tim McGraw. Ooh, that might be interesting. Actor expresses deep state war versus America, his relationship with Putin. Don't know who that may be. Paper Drudge is the world's most powerful journalist. Would not doubt that one bit. Drudge is the man. Matt Drudge sends anywhere from 70 to 90% of the mainstream media's traffic to their sites on a daily basis, which is something that the man should be paid for. Not sure about his financial situation, struggling, but his finances, especially for his services in the media. I wish my website was half as influential as Matt Drudge's, by the way. Which this is where y'all come in. Yeah, I could really use y'all. The more you support this show, the more you support myself, the more you support this whole operation, the more powerful we become. The more I can work for you, the more I can help we the people, the more I can help the communities that we live in. There's an election coming up in November. I'm going to be getting some interviews from some local and some state candidates, people who are running in these upcoming elections. I'm gonna be doing a lot over the next little bit. We've actually got somewhat of an upgraded sound system here at the Alex Morgan Show here in the good old Eastern Kentucky headquarters. I hope that I'm sounding better to people. I realize I don't have the best accent ever or nothing like that. But you know, it is what it is. So good Lord gave it to me, so I might as well use it. Or actually this afternoon. But anyway, I watched a documentary about the Oklahoma City bombing, and that's nothing new to me. It's something that I researched a pretty good little bit over the last couple of years, and there's one thing that stuck out in a particular documentary. Out of everything I've seen, out of everything that I've heard, they actually showed video of Timothy McVeigh at Waco. He was there selling bumper stickers, talking about, piss on the government and they're gonna take our guns and da-di-da-di-da, the same old far right thing that they try to tie all of us white so-called terroristic males to. The reason I say so-called, okay, as much research as I've done on the whole Oklahoma City thing, I think that Timothy McVeigh was more of a tool of the CIA. They went into his army career, of course. They went into, when he came home, they went into his efforts to join the Special Forces, which was, according to them, unsuccessful. So like this was like the whole moment where he just like said hell with it, because like, you know, like he went into the whole special forces thing like with his whole anti-government outlook, you know, according to this documentary, whatever. And it was that failure that ultimately caused him to commit the unthinkable. I want to go on record right now, and I want to say, if they ever try to say that I'm a white supremacist, I'm some sort of domestic terrorist, I'm some sort of I don't know, whatever. Man, I couldn't kill nobody. Okay, I couldn't. I have trouble stepping on a bug. Okay, if that tells you anything, I got a conscience, and it don't leave me alone much, you know, especially if I do something other, better, whatever. But yeah, that's just the way it is. See if I can sign into this right quick, like, and we'll get on with this broadcast. I've got a whole lot of stuff in the works though. I've got some stuff that I'm gonna be working on, like, while I'm not working on this show, and I want to like tie it all in together with this show, like, as much as possible. Because listen, folks, I'm not getting paid $0. I'm actually going in the hole, doing this whole thing. Yeah, if you could just make one little visit to alexmorgan.org, buy a t-shirt, buy anything. I don't know what all I got on there right now, but I mean to more. I mean to have a better selection. I'll tell you, this web design is not something that's easy. Coming this speaking out to the world here is not something that's so easy. Especially when I got these headphones on and I can hear what I really sound like without the vibration, you know, of my head and everything. And I can hear a gnat fart right now. Okay, folks. I mean, excuse my vulgar humor and toilet humor and all that, but yeah, I can hear a gnat fart literally. I actually had to put the puppy dogs out right then, and but
Thanks for being with us tonight. We need your building skills, your gusto, your
Reverend Jesse the so-called Reverend Jesse Jackson, speaking to then future President Donald J. Trump. This was January 14th, 1996 or 98. I can't see, it's blurred.
Diversity. And we thank you for coming tonight. Let's give Donald Trump a who has, well, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment, but his success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who's an effective builder of building with a builder of people. Last year he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the opportunities. Donald Trump.
I will tell you, a large percentage of the people, and especially in construction, that are building these great jobs are black and minorities, and I'm very proud of it. We have close to 25%, and I think the number's going up, and they do a great job. There are no better builders than we have in New York, and a big percentage of that is black and minority folks. So I just want to thank everybody in the room for being here. I look forward to some questions. And then I don't know how we're ever going to leave that side. It is terrible, but we'll figure a way. There's always a way. And thank you, Jesse, and congratulations.
Yeah. That was flashback. Jesse Jackson praises and thanks Trump for a lifetime of service to African Americans. CNN airs 195 uses of SHIT hole in one day. Let's check it out right quick. Give me just 1 second, folks, while I type this out. This is from newsbusters.org. CNN leaps into the toilet. Network aired 195 uses of, quote, SHIT hole, unquote, on Friday. In the contest for the most offended news network, after President Trump reportedly referred to African nations as SHIT hole countries, CNN wins hands down. Newsbuster staff combed through CNN transcripts on Nexus for the S-hole word in the 24 hours of January 12th, the first full day after the Washington Post reported the controversy and found CNN staffers and 195 times in one day. That doesn't count Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. That could be headed up for 1,000 by now. It also doesn't count the amount of time they put the S word on screen, sometimes twice, as you can see in Cuomo's temporary primetime show. Give me just 1 second here. Hey. Compare that to Fox News Channel. The curse count was 0. FNN told staff and guests not to say it. ABC, CBS, and the PBS NewsHour were also 0, and the NBC Nightly News on course CC obscenity regulations apply only to broadcast TV stations between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. So cable networks can let it fly without any fear of fines. MSNBC's primetime shows, the only ones in Nexus, used 14 S words from 5 p.m. to 11 on Friday. Some hours of Friday were much more aggressive in their use of the word. Don Lemon show CNN Tonight used 33 S-bombs and 22 in the 10 p.m. hour, and another 11 at 11 p.m. Lemon did everything but ask if the missing Malaysian jet vanished in a S-hole. Lemon lectured, quote, it was people from what he calls SHIT hole countries who built this country, who built the White House. Nothing that Donald Trump can change. Nothing that Donald Trump says can change that, end quote. I wanted to make sure I got that right. Technically, there were 196 S-bombs since Van Jones noted in Lemon's Space, quote, I understand that he actually said was, that doesn't sound right. I understand what he actually said was SHIT house and SHIT hole, unquote. Also, technically, Nexus showed up. No CNN transcript from 3:15 to 4 a.m. We typically don't record overnight. CNN's New Day also rolled out 33 S-bombs in its 3 hours from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Let's hope the soccer moms didn't catch Como and Camaroto on Friday. By contrast, Wolf Blitzer's and Aaron Burnett's hours only houred 2 apiece. The cursing cavalcade, ever how you pronounce that, was cheered by CNN's Jeff Young, who despised reports beating around the hole. I'm proud that the great majority of CNN's anchors and correspondents, including Jim Acosta, Anderson, Big Anderson, Gay Cooper, Don Lemon, Phil Mudd, and Jake Tapper. Oh, and Brian Stelter did not do so. End quote. Can you believe it? I mean, they about the mainstream media, folks. They actually show you every day who and what they really are. I mean, they're just like me. They're just like you. They're just like anybody else. Okay. If you pay attention and listen to the words that they say, they pretty much tell you who and what they are, what they represent, and what kind of moral values that they have as humans, which on a scale from 1 to 100 would rank around, I don't know, 20 to 30, you know. And yeah, they're not by any means the smartest people that is on TV, by the way. Okay. By the way, neither am I on TV either. So whatever, you know that. See, folks, I would rather be doing something like this than being an actor, being anything like that. People like that are not only professionally actors, but they're actors in life as well. Okay. And I know that we're supposed to bow down to them and worship them on a daily basis. We're supposed to just do whatever. But it's time to wake up, folks. It's time to get involved any way that you possibly can. Pay attention to everything that's going on. Pay attention to everything you buy. Pay attention to everything that you put into your body. Pay attention to everything. I say that with the utmost of sincerity because, listen, they're the ones that's giving us the cancer. They're the ones that's making us sick. They're the ones that's destroying our immune system, our nutritional intake. They're destroying the air that we breathe. they're destroying the dirt that we grow our food in. I mean, what do I have to say to you people to make you listen, to make you realize that this ain't no joke, to make you realize, hey, Alex Morgan never did have any kind of public speaking any political want to in him. None whatsoever were ever part of my ambitions, okay? But that's until right here the last year or so when I really woke up. See, I've been awake for years, really. I've never had the means or the want to reach out and get a hold of people and share my views, my interest, and find out what kind of interest that you have. Find out what you'd like to talk about, or just anything. Anything. Anybody wants to call the show today, you can. It's 859-777-0562. Again, that number, 859-777-0562. But yeah, it's just the way it is. I mean, if we're lucky, we catch on to what's going on before it's too late. And that's just if we're lucky, folks. If you're out there and you're awake and you're listening to this broadcast, get a hold of everybody you know. Tell them what's going on. Tell them about the show. Tell them about what's going on in the news. How deceptive the mainstream media is. Talk to people, tell them this ain't no joke, this ain't no laughing matter. I mean, I kind of get tickled sometimes, just how outrageous everything is outrageous, okay? And it's really an insult, okay? Especially when it comes to how much credit that they give an IQ, having a memory that is as long as a goldfish's memory, okay? A goldfish don't remember where he went to the bathroom at, let alone 5 minutes ago. So that's what they think we are, folks. That they think that we're total idiots, that we can't be trusted. We have no business doing jack. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry, but just the way it is. Tweet right now at Real Big Al Morgan. You can follow me there. Also follow at Alex Morgan Show for dates and what have you.
Moments ago, there was, and you may have heard this, an erroneous alert that went out via text message and social media, which warned to take cover because of an imminent missile strike. Again, we are being told that was sent by error. In other words, there was a test going on, but it went out. It was never meant to go out publicly. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard tweeted this out moments ago. Hawaii, this is a false alarm. There is no incoming missile to Hawaii. I have confirmed with officials there that no missile is incoming. To talk more about this, I want to bring in CNN National Security Analyst Julia Kayyem. What do we know about how this all came about, Julia? It would be terrifying.
Well, it is. Every emergency management agency is constantly testing their systems, in particular systems of communication, and more specifically, the use of social media to get information out. Think of an evacuation or a blizzard warning or whatever else. So they have to test these systems based on, how fast they can do it, what areas do they want to tell. Thankfully, this test was just that, a test. And so the odd thing is normally these go out with,
What did I tell you at the beginning of this broadcast, folks? That's the question. What did I tell you? The official story was the guy who is in charge of hitting the button and warning everybody of, the incoming missile, accidentally hit the button. Not once, but twice. Okay, what happened? What happened when Donald Trump's Twitter was shut down for like 15 to 20 minutes? Can y'all remember the official story on that? Anybody? Anybody remember the official story? Oh yeah, the guy accidentally hit the button. Yeah. Can, does anybody else see what's going on here? Okay.
Either, this is a test, or this is we're just testing the systems, rather than the text that did go out to a lot of people. I should say, it was quickly corrected, but it does tell you in this day and age how quickly the mistake gets spread, and how hard it is to sort of put the genie back in the bottle.
Right, and of course, as we know, with the tensions that have been with North Korea,
right,
the vulnerability of Hawaii, where it sits out in the middle of the Pacific, there was reason that people would not just sort of brush this off.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and this is the equally troublesome aspect of this is, the good news is, let me just say this, is that it wasn't a hack. For a few minutes, I thought it might have been a hack, and that to me would be very terrifying, because it could mean that an outside source was to sort of manipulate U.S. government communications, which would then trigger a response. So that is at least a good news, and we have to make sure that those systems of alert are protected. But obviously, given the threat that Hawaii feels like it's in, that the United States feels like it's in, a mistake like this is, I don't want to say it's unforgivable, but boy, we better learn from it, because we also have to have the public have confidence in the systems of communication. And if there's a mistake like this, what if the next one says tsunami warning, because there's been an earthquake, and people go, oh, it's another test, it's another mistake. So really important for people to have confidence in these systems, and this is a mistake and backward sliding in that regard.
Julia, did this in any way trigger the emergency broadcasting system? The tone that we're all so familiar with when they say this is just a test. Did that go off?
No, it didn't. So people, and this is how people who were following in real time, like me, sort of knew that it was probably a mistake, was that the television systems, which are on a different system from the social media platforms, were the TV stations were shut and whatever else. So that was the first hint that this was a mistake. They're on different platforms for a variety of reasons. They're actually owned by different entities, and of course are overseen by different government regulators. So that's not surprising. And it looks like Hawaii, we'll find out more in the next couple hours, was testing its social media emergency management apparatus in conjunction with its traditional emergency management communications. And, because they have to in this day and age, you have to communicate with people through Facebook and Twitter. This just went out so quickly with the absolutely wrong language. I mean, nothing should ever be drafted that has language like that unless it's actually happening, and someone forgot to put this as a test on the draft language.
We should reiterate to anyone who may be tuning in and wondering what we're talking about. There has been an alert that went out on social media in Hawaii, incoming ballistic missile. That is not true. It is an error that was made, and apparently the information went out when it definitely should not have gone out. Julia, did this go out on people's cell phones, this kind of automatic text, or was it just on social media?
I just saw it on social media, so I don't want to answer that question yet, just because I don't know. It's just happened so quickly. My suspicion, or at least based on previous exercises, is that this was Twitter alert system, both simultaneously through social media. So don't know. We're obviously testing this to make sure you can communicate accurately with as many people as possible. That's the goal. When you get it wrong, the public is going to have less confidence in the system. So Hawaii out there quickly, confidence in the system.
I know I'm asking you things that, I'm trying to discern, but so this is on the state level, this error, not on the federal level?
Yeah, so this is coming from the Hawaii emergency management side. So they're probably tested. In fact, there was a reporter who contacted incoming missiles, federal, obviously, military entity and command NORAD said, we're not seeing anything. We didn't put anything out. And that's actually what began the process of understanding that what was coming on the state side was inaccurate. Look, there's in any crisis, whether it's a nuclear missiles, which are absolutely terrifying, or a tsunami or a fire, you're going to want to align local, state, and federal communication strategies. That generally happens. What happened here was one of those entities was just testing. That's pretty common, and in some ways, fortunately, because the federal government was not part of it, it was able to say this was a big mistake.
All right, hold on, Juliet. I want to bring in our global affairs correspondent, Elise Labott. And Elise, you've got a statement, or you got some new information?
That's right, Marty. I have a statement from the spokesman of PACOM. That's the U.S. command in Hawaii that does the Pacific. The spokesman, Commander David Benham, says on the record, U.S. PACOM has detected no ballistic missile threat to Hawaii. Earlier message was sent in error. State of Hawaii will send out a correction message as soon as possible. Now, obviously, Twitter was blowing up with the idea that so many people were getting this text, and it was unclear whether it was a hoax or, a false message. Clearly, as this missile threat continued to, be leaving Hawaiians very concerned about what their missiles threat, you could understand that the state of Hawaii has been doing contingency.
Okay, that's about enough of that, CNN. Thank you. Let's see if we can find the actual audio that came to members of the communities in Hawaii. I don't know if people in California got these warnings, or anybody else in any states. You know how it is, like when you get an Amber Alert,
Moments ago, there was, and you may have heard this, an erroneous alert that went out by it.
No, not you. Just listen to you. Excuse me. That was rude. I'm sorry.
We were all sort of out here on the beach, just kind of hanging out, minding our own business, enjoying the vacation. And then all of a sudden, everybody started getting these alerts to their phone saying, this is not a drill, seek shelter immediately, a ballistic missile is heading toward Hawaii. So immediately, everybody's turning to each other, asking questions, wondering what is going on. Some of us took to Twitter right away to see if we could get some answers. And really, all you would see is thousands of people.
This is actually a lady who's in Hawaii on vacation with her family.
Here in Hawaii, wanting answers and getting nothing. At that point, the lifeguards on the beach then also started making announcements telling everybody to go and seek shelter. Now, I'll just flip this around right here. This is the beach that we're at, and you can see there aren't really a lot of people on here. Normally around this time, there are way more. It's packed with people and umbrellas, and really, this is probably a result of the alert that came through here.
So an alert, as we showed it to our audience at home, was taking immediate shelter. But again, this was a false alarm. This has just happened. It wasn't real. It was a false alarm. I imagine a lot of tough questions will be asked next.
Oh, a lot of people are preparing for this for some time. The threat of a ballistic missile from North Korea. People who live on the island are aware that, warnings would be going out on occasion, but those warnings would be drills, and it would be clear that they were drills. In this case, it said this is not a drill, you need to take shelter. So you can imagine people have a lot of questions here. There are also a lot of Canadians on the island of Maui, a lot of Canadians who are unaware of the preparations that have very confused. I think Department of National Defense and the Hawaii Emergency Management Team is going to have to answer to a lot of people. So far, we don't have any of those answers. We're just told that they are, at this point, trying to figure out what happened. But it's not clear if someone hacked into the system, if something went out by accident. Really, a lot of unanswered questions.
we'll check this video out for just a second, maybe. Then we'll move it right along to something else. I don't know what, but we'll see.
And this morning, Hawaiian officials say they're determined to make sure the false alarm that sent the state into panic never happens again.
Yeah, for 38 minutes yesterday, that there was a missile flying through the air about to hit Hawaii, and it's because of this alert. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. And this is a warning that was sent to people's phones. They showed up on their TVs. They played on the radio stations across the state.
State officials say all of this panic was caused by someone hitting the wrong button.
Hit the wrong
and
button.
A federal investigation is now going to begin to figure out how one incident could cause this many problems.
So CNN's Sarah Seidner is in Hawaii. She's got some more details for us this morning.
Victor and Christy, you know, that emergency alert that said that there was an incoming ballistic missile to Hawaii to seek shelter and that it was not a drill did send out a sense of panic to folks here. People trying to figure out where exactly to go, what exactly to do, knowing that emergency managers have been telling people here in Hawaii that there is only a 20-minute span between the time a missile would be launched from North Korea to the time it would make it here and make impact here in Hawaii. It's a very short time for people to figure out what to do and to take shelter. We also were able to speak with one of the state representatives here who was in tears talking about the fact that he had to explain this to his children and take shelter in his house while he was also trying to get information to his constituents, and what a difficult thing it was to have a conversation thinking that this could be their last conversation. And we're seeing that across social media as well. People talking about their last conversation they thought they were having with their family members after they got this message. All in all, though, we have heard from emergency management officials and the governor himself. I spoke to them on the phone. They told me that this was human error. They apologized for it. They said it will not happen again. They are looking at exactly how it happened, but they said what eventually happened and what they determined is that someone accidentally pressed the wrong button during a shift change.
Look right there at that, folks. You have a big volcano, which just so happens to, kind of resemble a pyramid. Then you have a little round symbol at the top. And, well, there's another pyramid. Well,
they were testing the system, and they have been testing the system here in Hawaii, but never anything like this. The test is an actual emergency siren, an attack siren that goes off, and they have told the population here what it's all about. But indeed, in this time, it wasn't the attack system that went off. It was a message to television viewers. It was a message through the radio and a text message on the cell phone. As emergency managers try and figure out how to make sure this never happens again, they are apologizing, saying this is human error, but it did create quite a bit of emotion here in Hawaii. Victor, Christy.
Sarah, thank you so much. CNN producer Amanda Golden is with us now. She was in Hawaii yesterday when this happened. Amanda, glad you're okay, but help us understand what it was like there when this alert first went out.
Yeah, hi, good morning, guys. Thank you for having me. It was incredibly alarming. I've never experienced anything like it. As you guys mentioned, the alerts went off on everyone's phones. It started coming over the television. And we didn't really know what to think of it at first. I didn't think it was a legitimate threat immediately until my sister started screaming, running through where we were staying. I was vacationing with my family. And then I was like trying to understand what was happening, and tweeted out a screenshot of the alert because, as you guys said at the beginning, the text of the alert was so alarming, saying that this is not a drill, to seek immediate shelter. And so just trying to figure out what next steps would be when you don't really know what next steps would be.
So where did you go? Where did the people you were with go?
Where'd you go?
We stayed where we were. We realized very quickly that there wasn't any basement or any other option of a room without a lot of beach designed. And we were tossing around ideas. Do we get in the car? Do we go anywhere? We really weren't sure. So we just all got together and tried to understand what was happening.
Did anybody where you were staying or anybody near where you were they able to talk to you and give you any, or were they, I'm trying to understand what the mood was like, not just with you and your family, but around you.
Yeah, well, we tried to call. We knew other people staying close to where we were on the Big Island, and all of them were dead locally. We couldn't make calls. We really weren't able to communicate with other people other than in our immediate vicinity. And it was just our family and some friends that were with us. So we were, that was part of the problem, I think, was just not understanding if we were alone in this, in these alerts, other than, what I was picking up on the internet.
Amanda, give us an idea of the conversations after you found out that this was a false alarm, because I'd imagine once everyone takes that first deep exhale, the question is, well, what if this had been real? Where were we supposed to have gone? What were the instructions? There was no guidance.
Right, and that's exactly the point. Is I was able to have a bit more understanding that it wasn't a legitimate threat sooner than I can imagine most other people did, because I was able to call in to a major news organization and probably had a good 15 minutes of scare, but compared to hear anything until that second alert went out 38 minutes after the first emergency alert came through the phones. All of our conversations were in the immediate following of what happened was, well, there wasn't really a procedure. There wasn't anything that we could have done. There's no set evacuation plans for the state of Hawaii. There aren't any, shelters for people to go into as part of their set emergency plans for something like this. I spoke to locals afterwards, and they say, they get threats for tsunamis or for hurricanes, and they do drills for those kind of things, but there's nothing set to kind of deal with any kind of threat like this if it were real.
So when you went to the airport, because we understand you're now back from Hawaii, but when you went to the airport, what were the conversations you were having and hearing?
I spoke with a few other people who were just tourists like myself, who seemed shaken and alarmed, but for the most part all right. Surprisingly, a lot of the locals who I spoke to, or people who worked at the airport or who were around that area, were making light of it. And I think you definitely have to have a sense of humor about this, but it was definitely an interesting vibe.
I'd say it was. Meanwhile, over at CNN, while they were all busy shouting obscenities all day Friday, worry about no FCC fines, no nothing like that, no morals, no respect for you, no thoughts about your children who may be in the room while you're watching the friggin' news. Oh yeah, meanwhile, I forgot, the president, he just tweeted 9 minutes ago, we were actually watching videos. He tweets, quote, "We must have security at our very dangerous southern border, and we must have a great wall to protect us and help stop the massive inflow of drugs pouring into our country." That's right, Mr. President. We must have a wall. That is what we the people voted for. That is what we the people expect out of this administration. This is what we the people expect when it comes to support from people in the House, people in the Senate, people in Congress. Hey. And it ain't just Republicans, it's Democrats. They claim to be this great supporter of you, this spokesperson for the poor people, yet they continuously support open borders, immigration out to yin yang on a just every day. And the Democrats are a party who cannot survive without a minority. Okay, folks, they not only count on this. This is number one in their survival. Okay, this is why they support open borders so much. And Donald Trump is the only man. This man is a genius. Okay, folks, I realized this when he made the Democrats themselves admit why they support open borders. When he asked, I think it was Chuck U. Schumer, if like they were all in the White House, like sitting around talking. Well, Mr. President, we'd like a clean docket, but well, Chuck U. Schumer, I think we can do that. Well, Mr. President, we'd like, you know, the Dreamers to stay here and blah blah blah. Yeah, yes, Chuck U. Schumer, I think we can do that. Chuck U. Schumer, why is it that you Democrats support open borders so much? Well, Mr. President, we need votes. Pretty much what he said. Donald Trump is a genius, okay? And I know, folks, this is getting so old. It don't matter what show that you want to watch, whether it's in the news, whether it's just a drama, even, okay? They attack our president, regular, okay, folks, regular. It's either a show where they're attacking and putting down our president, or it's a show which is very pro-Trump, which goes over all the absurdity of the left, and especially the far left, if you know what I mean. Now, when it comes to writers, I mean, it don't matter where you fall, and it don't matter. It don't even matter if you consider yourself right or left, which is good. I mean, I'm all for that. But listen, I just want y'all to know right now, I'm a believer in God. I support citizens' rights to own guns. I don't believe that people who have mental disorders should be able to purchase firearms. I just don't. I mean, it's common. What I'm trying to tell you, and that's what I've always shouted out here on the Alex Morgan Show. It's really awesome. You phone is ringing. I'm sorry. I just remembered something. But, yeah.
The shitholes.
The shithole.
Shithole. Up is down, black is white, and you probably come from a shithole. The president referred to countries like Haiti and countries in Africa as a shithole. Asians and Africans come from shithole countries.
That he referred to Haiti as a, quote, shithole. What he does not deny there is referring to other African countries as shitholes.
Shithole countries.
Shithole countries come here.
He called African countries shitholes.
Shithole in Africa. A shithole.
Why are we taking people from these shithole countries in Africa, etc.? Shithole countries. Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here?
I'm sorry, folks. This is a family friendly show, and I do apologize, but it's the Confederate News Network that you need to blame for this. I'm sorry, but I just had to show the seriousness about this, okay? Not only the seriousness, but the craziness. It should be the Crazy News Network, okay?
Shithole countries.
I am a proud shitholer. Shitholer and shitholers. Shitholers, 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 shithole. A shithole country. People from shithole countries.
Your mouth is the foulest shithole in the world.
About shitholes in a
Shithole immigrant and real. Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here? Because you might learn that people from some of those shithole countries are from shithole countries. Shitholes. 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 Shitholes.
It's a shithole country.
Shithole. Shithole.
Countries. Donald Trump has turned the Oval Office into a shithole.
Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here? The president said today at the White House.
Shithole countries.
Shithole country. All countries in Africa are shitholes. Why is he talking about the shithole? The shithole. Shithole countries. Shithole.
This is a shithole? No one should call any country a shithole. The word shithole, and we should not have immigrants from shithole countries. People from a shithouse like Africa.
Shithole.
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 A shithole.
The shithole people.
Yeah.
Shithole.
Why do we have to take immigrants from the shithole the shitholes of African countries and of Haiti and of El Salvador? It's not okay to talk about black and brown countries as shitholes because you don't think anybody's going to hear you.
Jack, the president referring to immigrants from Africa, Haiti, elsewhere as being from this word S-hole countries. I won't say it, but you get the point.
This is CNN.
Why not, Wolf? The rest of them did. But yeah, gotta thank Mark Dice for that. That was pretty cool.
Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here? The shitholes.
The shithole.
Shithole. Up is down.
We won't play that video again. I was hoping to actually find another. That's about enough of the obscenities on this morning's broadcast. Unlike a news in who just got off, okay, because they felt like they could actually get away with it, okay, and they just wanted to shove it down your throat and totally trash our president, okay, just totally. My puppy dog just got loose, but
Tonight, with toxic fallout spreading from President Trump's racist comments, along with a cloud of evasions, including yet again from the president himself, we begin keeping them honest with words that would resonate coming from any other president, but ring particularly hollow today.
Today we celebrate Dr. King for standing up for the self-evident truth Americans hold so dear, that no matter what the color of our skin or the place of our birth, we are all created equal by God.
The president reading this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation just one day after telling a bipartisan group of lawmakers that no, we are not all created equal, at least not if you are born in, as the president put it, a shithole country like Haiti or El Salvador or several countries in Africa. You are not, by the president's stated thinking, equal to someone born in Norway. Just to remind you, the president said what he said inside the Oval Office yesterday at a meeting with Republican and Democratic lawmakers on a possible immigration deal. That's what a source familiar with it tells CNN. It is what several sources tell the Washington Post, which broke the story, and it is what two participants, one a Democrat and one a Republican, confirmed. The president said, according to our source, Haitians. Why do we need more Haitians? Take them out, meaning take them out of the immigration deal. And again, with apologies for the language, he also reportedly said, why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here? By the way, here's what else he was doing yesterday as he heaped scorn on countries where predominantly black and brown-skinned people live. He was recording a Martin Luther King Jr. Day message for this Monday. And keeping them honest, here's what else he did and did not do when the story hit. For starters, he did not have his spokesman, Raj Shah, deny it last night. What he did do, according to a source familiar with his actions, is spend the night calling supporters and taking what was characterized as a victory lap over his comments. That's right, a victory lap. Now just let that sink in. Just hours after reports that he denigrated Haitians and others, and on the eve of the anniversary of the Haitian earthquake, no less, the President of the United States was on the phone, high-fiving with his friends. By early morning, though, his boasting turned to denials on Twitter. The language used by me at the DACA meeting was tough, but this was not the language used. What was really tough was the outlandish proposal made a big setback for DACA. And this about an hour later. Never said anything derogatory about Haitians other than Haiti is obviously a very poor and troubled country. Never said, take them out, made up by Dems. I have a wonderful relationship with Haitians. Probably should record future meetings. Unfortunately, no trust. Keeping them honest, no tapes are needed. As we said, two participants, one from each party, have weighed in with the facts. Here is Democratic Senator Dick Durbin.
I cannot believe that in the history of the White House, in that Oval Office, any president has ever spoken the words that I personally heard our president speak yesterday.
South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham also weighed in, first telling his colleague, Senator Tim Scott, that the comments reported are, quote, basically accurate. That's according to his hometown paper, the Charleston Post and Courier. He then put out a public statement today, and while it did not directly acknowledge the president's use of obscenity, he did say that he pushed back on the president's remarks. The president and all those attending the meeting know what I said and how I feel. I've always believed that America is an idea, not defined by its people, but by its ideals. As for the other lawmakers present, it is hard to not recall the president saying what he has reportedly said. They claim they just don't remember. One other Republican, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, sidestepped the question in a tweet calling it a diversion of his efforts on DACA. Two other leading Republicans who were in that room, Congressman Kevin McCarthy and Bob Goodlatte, have said nothing at all. House Speaker Paul Ryan did offer some tepid comments, calling the president's remarks, quote, unhelpful. Republican Senator Jeff Flake, on the other hand, gave no quarter. He is, of course, no fan of the president on first-hand knowledge, tweeting, quote, the words used by the president as related to me directly following the meeting by those in attendance were not tough. They were abhorrent and repulsive. And whether you agree with that assessment, one thing is clear. Toxic remarks, especially black and brown-skinned people, are nothing new for this president. Late last year, he reportedly slurred Haitian immigrants as all Haitian huts. Something we should say the White House as he said at the time. However, just to remind you, here is a sampling of some of Mr. Trump's other offensive comments, starting with what he said about the neo-Nazis and other white supremacists.
He said they was cool.
You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. Look at my African American over here. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
I would like to have him show his birth certificate.
Mexico sends its people. They're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
This judge is of Mexican heritage. I'm building a wall.
You were here long. Although we have a representative in Congress who They say was here a long time ago. Pocahontas.
These comments are not outliers. They are part of a consistently prejudicial.
My puppy is going crazy. In case anybody's wondering, she is going crazy. She is climbing up in my lap right now. She ain't the smallest of puppies. I'll tell you that. That's Daddy's girl, though. Oh, but anyways. Let's see what Sarah Huckabee Sanders has to say about this right here. I'm gonna mute that a little bit. But better yet, hold on just a moment. Let me see what else I can come up with for y'all. I got all kinds of links here to share this morning. Let me just do some looking and some digging to see what I do have, because I really have so much that I forgot about half of it, just between me and you. I get what I want to cover in my head, and I pretty much just like copy the links and save them, and then when the show starts, I just, start talking and telling y'all about what's been going on and stuff, and then I have these links to go to, and yeah, but we'll get the picture. This particular video was published on November 17, 2016, which would have been one day before the presidential election.
In weeks, Donald Trump will take hold of America's nuclear codes. He'll be able to launch nuclear missiles with a single momentary decision. And tonight, there are serious concerns about whether Trump wants countries...
Never mind, it was November the 8th. I'm sorry, this would have been... Been a little over a week after the election.
Like Japan and South Korea to have nuclear weapons. As a candidate, Trump said this.
Wouldn't you rather, in a certain sense, have Japan have nuclear weapons when North Korea...
Later, he went back on that. Sort of.
Japan should have nuclear. That's what I said, supposedly. I didn't say that. I would rather have them not armed. But I'm not going to continue to lose this tremendous amount of money. And frankly, the case could be made that let them protect themselves against North Korea.
Anti-nuclear advocates say the
severe crisis. There are ultra-right nationalist forces in both countries that want nuclear weapons. The President of the United States must be absolutely clear that we do not want them to do that. That is not the path for security in Asia.
We asked the Trump transition team to clarify the president-elect's position. We haven't heard back. Tonight, some of Trump's national security critics say they're outright scared about him having the nuclear codes. They describe him as quick-tempered, prone to lash out.
I would bomb the out of him.
If your closest advisors don't trust you to tweet, how can you trust them with the nuclear codes? You can't do it.
You can't do it. Trump told NBC he'll be responsible with the codes.
I will not be a happy trigger like some people might be. I will be the last, but I will never, ever rule it out.
The moment he's sworn in, Trump will have several potential nuclear crises to deal with. Tensions between Vladimir Putin's forces and NATO are escalating. North Korea's belligerent dictator, Kim Jong-un, already has nuclear weapons that can threaten his neighbors and tens of thousands of U.S. troops in South Korea. If there's an alarm, even a false one, Trump would have only a few minutes to decide whether to launch nuclear weapons or hold back. Pete Metzger is a former Marine who carried the nuclear football, the satchel with launch codes, for President Reagan.
The result of the decision the president would make is so grotesquely horrible, It would change the face of the earth. It would change humanity. It would change mankind.
If the president decides to use the nuclear football and launch a nuclear strike, is there anyone in the chain of command who can actually stop that order? The White House won't comment on that, but Pete Metzger and other experts tell us Unless there is a full-on mutiny, no one can stop the president's order.
Nobody can stop the president's order. I don't want to listen to Megyn Kelly. I refuse. I'm sorry. No deal. Let's see what this one is.
Is resigning following the president's alleged vulgar comments. Now, the president is saying he didn't quite use those tough words. However, Senator Durbin said today, yes, Mr. President, you did say them. Joining us now is Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary. How do you think Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the current White House press secretary, should handle this? Because it's going to come right out of this afternoon.
It's going to be a brutal briefing today, Stuart. Today is one of those days where if you're a White House press secretary for Donald Trump, you need to toe the line. You need to justify what the boss did, why he did it, because that's who Donald Trump is. He likes these controversies to be about himself, and he thinks it's productive. Well, I think every single reporter in that room is going to think that this was destructive, and it's hurtful of America's image in the world. So you're going to have a clash in that briefing room.
What would you say, it's a difficult question to answer, but what would you say if you were Mr. Trump's White House press secretary?
Well, that doesn't work. No, if you're the press secretary, you sign up to promote and defend the president. You are not your own boss. You are the spokesman. You carry the president's word. Devil's advocate, and in this case it comes naturally. It's not the devil, it's them. And they'll bang on the president, and justifiably so, Stuart, in this instance. I personally, I have a diplomatic passport over my shoulder here. America's role in the world is important. What the president says is important. And even beyond that, the president has had so much success going on. When you look at the tax cuts, when you look at the rebates, when you look at the growth in the economy, when you look at jobs, when you look at how North Korea is now being cracked down upon by China, as we just found out today, trade with North Korea is 50% drop from China. And when you look at the immigration success the president has been having, and that long meeting he had with Congress, we may actually get an immigration package agreed to. Why aren't we talking about that?
Well,
that's because the president is making
really hurt the chances of an immigration deal.
Well, I think he set it back, yes. He had momentum going into it, momentum on behalf of the wall. And if you're a Democrat who's going to have to take a hard vote and compromise to give Trump the wall in exchange for DACA, and the president says things like this, you naturally say, how can I work with him? Why should I try to compromise and give him anything? So it makes it harder. At the end of the day, I think they still have to get it because the issues involving DACA, deportation of people who are here illegally, and they are threatened with deportation, properly so, unless we have a legislative agreement. At the end of the day, I hope that preempts bad feelings about what the president inappropriately said.
In journalism, of course, you're not supposed to end an interview with "only time will tell" or "let's see what happens," but I'm afraid that's how I'm going to end it, because only time will tell how Ms. Sanders responds to the hostile media today. Ari Fleischer, thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you.
I don't mean to be right back and forth all morning during this show, but I can't help it. I got a little distraction going on in the form of a out-of-control puppy. Talk to him, Coco. You want some attention, honey? You got the world. Talk to him. Say hello. But yeah, that's all. That's all that they want to do is attack Trump, attack Trump, attack Trump. They go from their little SHIT hole comments to blaming him, not physically or vocally or verbally or anything like that, but it doesn't look good on the administration. The whole false alert on the nuke attack on Hawaii, okay? And they know that. And just like I was telling you about, back when Donald Trump's Twitter account was banned for about 15 or 20 minutes. That was the same excuse that they used then. Guy hit the wrong button at the wrong time and blah 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 blah. Okay? They know this. They know this. And listen, the Democrats are dug in deep, okay? Especially in states like California and Hawaii. I know they're in control of Virginia, states like that. But, that's just something that everybody has to think about, especially if you live in these places. That's usually why, I know that's why Detroit is like it is, and how economic crisis, a few years ago, but the Democrats also have a lot to do with that too. The economy, but yeah, you can see their failed policies everywhere you look. Get a magnifying glass and take my little finger and point it out to you or anything like that, because just look at California if you need proof, okay? Just look at California. California is a prime example. Who's to blame? People like Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Chuck U. Schumer, just to name a few, okay? You also have that, little...
Mr. President, will you give an apology for the statement yesterday? Mr. President, did you refer to African nations towards shithole?
Mr. President, are you a racist?
Mr. President, are you a racist? Mr. President, will you respond to these serious questions about your statement, sir? No, Mr. President, after the line. Mr. President, are you a racist?
The words that I personally heard our president speak yesterday. You've seen the comments in the press. I've not read one of them that's inaccurate.
Not one.
To no surprise, the president started tweeting this morning denying that he used those words. It is not true. He said these hate-filled things, and he said them repeatedly. The question was raised about Haitians, for example. We have a group that have temporary protected status in the United States because they were the victims of crises and disasters and political upheaval. The largest group's El Salvadoran, the second is Honduran, and the third is Haitian. And when I mentioned that fact to him, he said, Haitians? Do we need more Haitians? And then he went on when we started to describe the immigration from Africa that was being protected in this bipartisan measure. That's when he used these vile and vulgar comments, calling the nations they come from shitholes. The exact word used by the president, not just once, but repeatedly. That was the nature of this conversation. When it came to the issue of, quote, chain migration, I said to the president, do you realize how painful that term is to so many people? African Americans believe that they migrated to America in chains. And when you speak about chain migration, it hurts them personally. And he said, oh, that's a good line. And then when I talked to him about the impact this has on family unification in a nation that values families with the flag as the most important symbols of our future, they scoffed at this notion. It was a heartbreaking moment.
Today we celebrate Dr. King for standing up for the self-evident truth Americans hold so dear, that no matter what the color of our skin or the place of our birth, we are all created equal by God. This April, we will mark a half-century since Reverend King was so cruelly taken from us by an assassin's bullet. But while Dr. King is no longer with us, his words and his vision only grow stronger through time. Today we mourn his loss, we celebrate his legacy, and we pledge to fight for his dream of equality, freedom, justice, and peace. I will now sign the proclamation, making January 15th, 2018, the Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday, and encourage all Americans to observe this day with acts of civic work and community service in honor of Dr. King's extraordinary life, and it was extraordinary indeed, and his great legacy. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless America.
This April, we will observe the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. I remember so vividly that day as a high school student in Detroit. Far from silencing his dream, death wrought him immortal in the American heart. His message of equality and the common dignity of man resounds today, urgently needed to heal the divisions of our age. Today we honor the legacy of the man who marched on Washington and freedom, achieving both for millions of Americans of all races and backgrounds. But his legacy also calls us to remember where these ideas, equality, freedom, liberty, get their power. Our good efforts alone are not enough to lend them meaning. For by what shall I be called equal to another man? It cannot be by wealth, for there will always be one richer than me. It cannot be by strength, for there will always be one stronger than me. It cannot be by success or happiness or beauty or any other pieces of tradition which are distributed through providence. So perhaps providence alone is the answer. We hold these truths to be self with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. With these familiar words, our Declaration of Independence recognizes the true author of our common dignity, one that is beyond every human law and institution. If we forget this sort of our fundamental equality, then our fight to recognize it in our society will never be fulfilled. This is a truth that Dr. King carried with him from Selma to Montgomery, from a pulpit in Atlanta to the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, from a cell in Birmingham to the entire world. This year we will not remember his slaying as the ending, but as a beginning, as a moment when his truth rose stronger than hatred and his cause larger than death, as a moment when he called to new life with his Creator, before whom all men shall one day stand in equal rank, bearing with them no riches but the content of their character. If we keep this conviction at the center of our every word and action, if we look upon our countrymen as brothers with a shared home and a common destination, then instead of meaningless words rolling off of our tongue, we will truly create one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we're going to have a word from Pastor Isaac Newton Ferris, the nephew of Dr. Martin Luther King.
President Trump, Vice President Pence, and to all assembled here,
If my uncle were here today, the first thing he would say is, what are we or what are you doing for others? And that's why it was so important that my aunt Coretta Scott King returned to the Congress now about 10 years ago and asked that the meaning of the holiday be changed. We did not want the King holiday just to be a day of hero worship. As his nephew, I certainly think that he was one of the greatest Americans that we've produced. But it should not be a day of hero worship. And that's why the Congress agreed with my aunt and also made it a day of service. So that we, on that day, as a matter of fact, at the King Center, we refer to it as a day on, not a day off. It's not a day to hang out in the park or pull out the barbecue grill. It's a day to do something to help someone else. And that can be as simple as delivering someone's trash or picking up the newspaper to the end of the driveway. Bottom line, you're doing something that benefits someone other than yourself. That's the proper way to remember my uncle and the proper way to celebrate the King holidays. So, President Trump, thank you for taking the time thank you for remembering that we're all Americans, and on this day we should be united in love for all Americans. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
This is a great and important day, Martin Luther King Jr. Federal holiday, 2018, by the President of America, a proclamation. Congratulations to him and to everybody.
Let's go into this Don Lemon interview with MLK nephew. This was one of the clips from a video that I showed y'all earlier, by the way, but
Mr. President, will you give an apology for the statement yesterday?
this is right after the signing of the proclamation for Martin Luther King Day to be a federal national holiday.
Mr. President, are you a racist? Mr. President, will you respond to these serious questions about this statement, sir? No, Mr. President, I'm talking to the President, not you, sir.
I believe that in the history of the White House.
There we go. Senator Durham describes President Trump's comments, blah, blah, blah. We've already listened to this. Chain migration, what about? They're the ones that are so stupid and think that we're all stupid and think that they can say anything and we'll just, believe it because they're politicians, they're newscasters, blah blah blah, they're on TV, whoop-de flippin' do, hey. But yeah, it's really critical that you go to alexmorganshow.org, watch the videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch the videos. I need to be monetized. I need to be taking money out of Google's pocket and putting it to work for us. And I will do that. If I'm ever given the chance, I promise I will do that. Hey, we'll have contests every day. We'll who knows what we can do, but we will do it. I promise. We will reshape the world if you want to. It don't matter. I mean, we can do whatever y'all want to too. It's not all about me. That's what I can't express enough of. I recently joined Google Voice. I was actually planning on maybe having people call into the show there. Although I'm not exactly sure how good that'll work, but for the meantime, call me at
January 15th, 2018, the Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Let's talk about the president's tweet regarding North Korea. The comments of the president about the size of his nuclear launch button.
And y'all know what that's in reference to, you know, which, again, yeah, Trump's a genius. Trump pretty much shapes what they're going to talk about every day, whether y'all realize it or not. He could wake up one morning and let a big fart, and that, if the media knew about it, that's how they'd talk about it. They'd say Trump's a morning farter. He farts every morning. He pollutes the White House air with his methane out of his. That just, that's how it's going right now. I mean, he by storm, no doubt about it. Love him and hate him, whatever. But yeah, for now, let's just call 859-777-0562, or you can just either follow me on Twitter at Real Big Al Morgan, or on Facebook, just look up Alex James Morgan, or go to facebook.com/Big Al Morgan. That's BIGALMORGAN. Nothing too complicated, no, nothing like that. But let's get back to this video.
Let me start with you. What do you expect that rhetoric to do internationally and here at home?
Well, you know, recently Congress had a hearing on whether they could stop President Trump from using that nuclear button, and what they could do to slow it down if, in fact, it came to that point. When it comes to diplomacy, I don't know if buttons really do very well for anybody. I mean, remember the last button? Wasn't that Hillary Clinton and the reset button with Russia?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there is a, quote, easy button when it comes to any of these things, but for some reason it just seems that instead of calming things down and, forwarding this idea of perhaps a South Korea, North Korea conversation at the border, Donald Trump may have inflamed things, which is what he likes to do sometimes, but I don't think Congress necessarily responds very well when he does.
Michael, what do you think? I mean, internationally, I would imagine there's some people who would not find this particularly helpful.
You know, this is the challenge with Donald Trump. When he tweets out about the protests in the streets of Iran, it's powerful. It's something that President Obama certainly wouldn't have done, and that probably if we had a President Hillary Clinton, she wouldn't have done based on their approach to Iran. And you look at the power of that tool of the Twitter, and throwing it away. I mean, line is the kind of line I would use in a Herald column. You have a button too. It is real and it is spectacular. That's me to use. He has the president's problem with putting North Korea on his heels. Record of having China at least pretend to cooperate. We now pretend to cooperate is something that we didn't get with previous administrations. What a opportunity cost. Mr. President, they're great one-liners. Let somebody else send them out.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, let me follow up with you. Last we've heard the president use rhetoric like fire and fury. How does this particular button tweet fit in? Because you look at sort of what he's saying there, there's a brinksmanship aspect, obviously, to what he's saying. How does this fit in with his past rhetoric?
Well, I will say that Trump fans, it's the world of social media. Trump speaks social media. He doesn't speak diplomacy, you know, or maybe sometimes even English, but he speaks social media exceptionally well. And so they just dismiss it, and they would find this, Trump fans would find this conversation kind of off the point. Like, come on, he's not going to do anything. He does have a button on his desk, but they bring him a Diet Coke, and he does that apparently 12 times a day. I'm serious. That's the only button he has. But once again, you have an opportunity with North Korea in trouble. With the backing of China that they once had is weaker. At least China feels the need in public to act like there's some space. In Iran, there's a real chance now to power the people who want to overthrow this Islamist, dictatorial, murderous regime. That's all good stuff. And this entertainment stuff, this talk radio stuff, leave it to the talk radio hosts like me.
So, Molly, let me ask you. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
What I was going to say was, keep in mind, in the past when he's actually made these comments, the fire and fury, and will respond, he's responding to an action that North Korea took.
Right.
Like launching, these ICBM tests or whatever ballistic missile tests. He was actually responding to a provocative action. In this case, here was Kim Jong-il. I mean, what's he going to do? I mean, Kim Jong-un, excuse me, I get the Kim Jongs all confused. But he was just talking. I mean, this is what North Korea, this is what they do. Their rhetoric, I mean, if you really sit down and review what some of the things that, North Korean president has said, he really, he uses very colorful language sometimes. That said, again, in the past where Republicans and some Democrats, would say, hey, I'm kind of glad that President Trump did speak out. In this case, I don't think we're going to hear that as much.
I don't think that we are either, buddy, just between me and you. Let's see what Bernie had to say about the whole SHIT whole comment. I'm sure he loved it. In fact,
I wish I could say I was surprised by what the president said tonight, but I'm not. This is just one opportunity where the White House hasn't tried to gloss it over, hasn't tried to say it was a mistake, hasn't tried to say we got it wrong. They're saying the base is okay with this. They'll agree. Do you?
Do I agree? No. I think it is appalling. And I think of two things now, Chris. My father, I'm a first-generation American. And my dad came from what I guess Trump would call a shithole. That was a very rural and a very, very poor area. And a very poor family from Poland.
Poor.
They came to the United States.
They were very poor.
17. I cannot believe the courage that took. And he was able to make a living and raise a family in the United States to become a very proud American.
That's good for him.
And second of all,
Bernie.
what I think of, Chris, today is all over this country you have decent people who sit down with their kids at the dinner table and they say, judge people based on their character. Don't judge people based on the color of...
I'm sorry, I just gotta pause it. Check out the look on whatever this guy's name is right here. I don't know this particular CNN anchor, but just look at his face. If he could only turn that frown upside down, I'll tell you what.
Their skin or the country that they whether or not they have an accent or not, judge them on whether they are a good human being.
Has he changed it? No.
And we have a president today, the nation, telling the whole world that that's not what he does. I think the point that you made a moment ago is the right point. It's not just to respond in anger. It's to build a political movement in this country which says that that is not inadequacy, and we are going to create a very different type of America and get back to the values that help make us a great nation.
Senator, and tell that message by preaching to the converted. There are certainly many people in the country who, God willing, will believe that. But what do you say to this so-called Trump base, the people that the White House is not agreeing with the president, that we don't want those people, they don't belong here? What do you say to them?
This is what I say to them. What I say to them is, during his lot of promises to you, and on almost every one of the promises that he made to you, when he told you that he would not cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, well, he supported a proposal to cut $1 trillion in Medicaid. When he told you he was going to take on Wall Street, turns out that he appointed major Wall Street executives to top administrative positions. When he told you he was going to fund as well and appointed executives from some of the largest pharmaceutical companies to run major government agencies. He told you he was going to be the working class of this country, and that was a lie. He is with his own billionaire class, and day after day is fighting for legislation which hurts the working people of this country and benefits the people on top. And yet, I think people all over this country understand the truth of what I'm saying.
But they're being told something very different. Stock market, all-time high. Companies throwing cash at their employees because they're so excited about the tax cut that will benefit all American families. Cutting regulation has brought manufacturing back. Cutting regulations has done more to grow commerce and the GNP in this country than ever thought imaginable in the last quarter of the Obama administration. They say those are their facts. How do you respond?
Well, here's how I respond. The truth is that the tax proposal signed by the president will give 83% of the benefits to the top 1% at the end of 10 years at a time of massive income and wealth inequality. And what I say is that after the horrendous stock market crash as a result of the greed, after the Wall Street crash of 2008, 2009, which devastated this country, what we saw is Obama beginning to put together an economy which grew stronger and stronger, and is something that Trump has benefited from. So our job, though, is to recognize that while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, the middle class of this country continues to struggle. Millions of people today are working longer hours for low wages, etc., etc. Our job is to pay attention to working families, not just the billionaires. And by the way, Chris, that gets us to the budget.
The billionaires and the millionaires.
Debate that is going on right now. And I hope we can discuss that.
We're going to discuss it. Let's do it right now. But here's the context for it. You may not like this, but this is the way I see it. So let's discuss it. For all the ugly words that comes out of him and the beating that he gets from the media, and with due criticism, he is cleaning the Democrats and yours, by extension, he's cleaning your clock on the policy matters. He got the mandate withdrawn. He got the tax cut. You had high ground coming out of that because he did it along straight partisan lines, dividing this country by party and socioeconomics. But now you're about to give him back that high ground. You're going to do a deal on DACA. He's going to get that wall. That's my guess. And he's going to be able to say, I got the wall.
my internet and stuff like that's lagging. I got it going 90 miles a minute. I'm streaming here and I'm streaming there. And I'm streaming here also. Not to mention, Bernie Sanders has a really cute look on his face at the moment. This guy, he's puckering up like he's gonna kiss his behind, and he's just like, Bernie, he don't care, whatever.
And I'm the great unifier. Look at all these Democrats here with my bill of love, and you will then be 0 for 2 on the 2 biggest moves that he's done since he's been in office.
All right, Chris. let's take 1 and then we'll go to 2.
Let's go.
It is only media absurdities that looks at a bill looks at something like the tax bill and say, oh, it is a victory for Trump. I understand that he won, but what the American people will quickly understand is that when you run up a $1.4 trillion deficit over 10 years and the vast majority of the benefits go to the top 1%, the American people understand that is not a victory for them. It may be a political victory for Trump and his billionaire friends, not for ordinary Americans.
Senator.
Second of all, where we are... Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We'll go one by one. We'll both do one at a time. Look, you say a 10-year...
Look at him. He's red. He's smiling, and he's acting like he's having a good time. This is all, SHITS and giggles, but he's mad. His cheeks are red. Look at him. He's smiling, but he's mad. Bernie's mad. Right here now. He did. I seen it in his face. You want me to replay it?
The cycle is 10 minutes. Both do one at a time. Look, you say a 10-year window. Senator.
Second of all, where we are... Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We'll go one.
It may be a political victory for Trump and his billionaire friends, ordinary Americans.
Senator.
Second of all, where we are... Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He was just getting
We'll go one
warmed
by
up.
one. We'll both do one at a time. Look, you say a 10-year window. The cycle is 10 minutes. We got out in front of this message. The media corrects the facts. I do it all day. I've lost hairline doing it, Senator. It doesn't matter. He's won the narrative of a big tax cut that's going to help everybody. Companies are giving bonuses. The Democrats did nothing to help the middle class the way you guys promised you would. I know you don't have the numbers, but the reality is you got to find ways to use leverage.
No,
you
I
lost
don't agree.
on that bill.
No, of course we lost the vote, Chris. But if you look at the polling done in this country, the vast majority of the American people understand there's something absurd when we increase the indebtedness that our children and grandchildren are going to have to face in order to give the overwhelming percentage of benefit.
Folks, he's sitting right there lying to you through those false teeth of his, okay? First of all, the national debt more than doubled under Obama. May I remind you. And he sat right there and told you how Trump benefited from Barack Obama shaping the economy. Barack Obama didn't shape the economy. Barack Obama gave away hundreds of billions of dollars to these corporations. And in return, did they hire new workers? Did they create new jobs? What did they do? They sent their CEOs on vacation. They gave their CEOs bonuses. Their executives all got bonuses. Some of them even bought jets, folks, with our tax dollars, okay? And he can sit here and lie to you all he wants to, but that is the truth, okay? I've got that much sense. I can remember that right offhand, okay? I don't have to reference nothing because I have a memory that's... Oh, that makes me mad, though. I mean, they just sit there and spew and spew. Folks, yes, the top 1% might benefit from this. But listen, how many companies have already announced bonuses, higher wages, more benefits. Walmart just announced the other day that they were going to start paying their new employees who completed their training course, that's just starting out. 10 without the course, I mean, you know. And also that they would give families who work for them who want to adopt children anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. I mean, this is huge. They don't tell you this though. They don't mention this. Oh, them cheeks can get red, and they can shit on Trump all day long. It don't hurt them folks. It don't hurt them a bit to lie. And here they are sitting there telling you how Trump has got all this going for him. Come 2020, the 2020 election, and Bernie's going to sit here and tell you a bunch of lies, pretty much. Okay, I've never watched this video, never. Okay, we're totally unscripted here, in case you can't tell. We just jump all over the place, one side to the other. But yeah, totally unscripted, folks.
To the top 1%, in fact, to the top 1/10 of 1%. A political victory for Trump and his friends, yes. The American people, though, have not been supporting legislation. Furthermore, take it back a few months previously. Look at the health care bill that Trump tried to get through. You tell me how many Americans think it was a great idea to try to throw 32 million of our fellow Americans off of health insurance, one of the least popular pieces of legislation ever brought up to the American people. Now, where we are today, this is where we are today.
And he got the mandate in the tax bill, which took a huge bite out of the ACA. It's going to destabilize markets. It's going to pop premiums. And he's going to be able to blame that on you guys.
Chris, you don't have to argue with me about how bad the bill is. I helped lead the fight against it. All that I'm telling you is I think you're wrong. Of course we didn't stop it. We had 48 votes. They had 52 votes. You know, that is the arithmetic. They control the House. They control the White House. We did stop the disastrous health care proposal. Where we are today, this is where we are today. In a year in which he tried to throw millions off of health insurance, give huge tax breaks to billionaires, end net neutrality, ignore the reality of climate change, in fact, make us more dependent on fossil fuels. Now where we are is
climate change. It's no longer global warming. It's climate change.
In a moment when the Republicans are trying to end the parity agreement between defense and non-defense spending that has existed since 2000, but it is very important.
No, look, I brought you on to talk about what matters.
I don't know, Bernie. It's pretty sexy, if you ask me. Pretty sexy.
If I wanted sexy, Bernie, I would have gone with somebody else. Maybe, maybe not. So please, make your case.
I got to tell you, one second, Chris. I think that is a personal affront.
Really? Keep going, Senator, please.
Just kidding. All right, so here is the story. The story is that for the last 4 budgets, when we raised defense spending by $1, we raised spending for the middle class and working class of this country by $1, equal for both sides.
Right.
What Senator McConnell, the Republican leader, now wants to do is to move toward an incredibly large increase in military spending. Not quite clear. Could be between $100 and $150 billion over the next 2 years. Largest increase in modern American history.
Right.
But what he also wants to do is say, we are not going to pay attention and have parity for the needs of working families. They have not even reauthorized the children's health insurance program.
So what can you do about it? They haven't reauthorized CHIP. They're going to do away with parity. What are you going to do about it?
We're going to fight like hell. This time, you see, it is not a vote of 52 to 48. Right. This time, they need 60 votes.
That's right.
And I am going to do everything that I can to make sure that before we sign off on agreements, the needs of the working class and middle class of this country are protected.
Would you shut down the government?
It's not just their burden is on them. They control the White House, the Senate, and the House. The government is shut. If the government is going to be shut down, which I certainly.
Here we are. Source: Trump slams immigrants from quote SHIT whole countries unquote. That is the headline on the bottom of the screen while this was airing. Just so you know.
Do not want to see. It's on their shoulders. Okay. But this is what I will tell you. I will not support a huge increase in military spending and not pay attention to the Social Security Administration, which is grossly underfunded and unable to perform what it has to do for the elderly or for the disabled.
But folks, listen. The Democrats, the liberals, when it comes to words, see how I told y'all about how he didn't use the words global warming in that particular little moment? That's because it's went from global warming to climate change. See, climate change is something that can't be denied. Climate change is something it's undeniable. It's unlike, global warming, which is pretty much myth. Which there are greenhouse gases. There is proof of this, but from like volcanoes and stuff like that and like carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it does cause climate change, but not the man-made kind that they're referring to, or acting like that's their little excuse to take our rights away and make us buy these cars that use X for fuel or whatever, what have you, whatever. Okay, that's all that's about. Another reason to tax you. Let's see what's up on Drudge. Anything new? Amazon plan to put camera microphone in every bedroom. I'd say that they've already got a pretty good start at that. By the way, Dow hit 26,000 according to Drudge. That's something that Bernie Sanders is not going to point out to you, by the way. Pope begs forgiveness for, quote, irreparable harm of sexual abuse. That story is up on Drudge. Dow Industries top 26,000 for the first time as earnings seasons ramps up. Yep, there you go, folks. Now's the time, I would say, to invest in the stock market, if ever. It is now. Dollar rebounds from a 3-year low while Bitcoin's sell-off accelerates. So everybody who's into Bitcoin, they must be selling, sell. According to this, anyways. Below $11,000 in volatile trading on Coinbase. This is big news, by the way. Bitcoin had rallied to a record high above 19,800. Hang on, the page just switched. Here is from the Wall Street Journal. The Dow Industries averaged 26,000 for the first time Tuesday, just 7 trading sessions after closing above the last 1,000 point milestone. The blue chip index gained 273 points, or 1.1%, to 26,076 shortly after the opening bell. If the Dow Industries close above 26,000, the jump from 25,000 would be the fastest 1,000 point leap in its 120-year history. Tuesday's historic rise builds on the Dow's 25% gain last year and its seemingly unstoppable climb to start 2018. The rally began in late 2016 as a deregulation and tax cuts, but spent 2017 rising on the earnings growth. The start of the fourth quarter reporting season, which many money managers expect will again, has now the potential to catapult the stock market even higher. Some fund managers say they added that what they will be focusing on most. However, it's what executives say they expect for 2018 results, particularly following the passage of tax overhaul. Quote, "We have a high level of confidence in quarter earnings numbers," end quote, said Tom Wright, head of inequities at JMP Securities. Quote, "But there's an even higher forward guidance will be now that we have a new corporate tax structure." United Health Group, one of the biggest contributors to the Dow Jones point gain, added 2.3% after the health insurer beat analyst estimates and raised its guidance. Merck, another Dow component, gained 6.6% after the drug maker said a combination of its Keytruda treatment was with chemotherapy extended survival of patients with lung cancer. S&P 500 climbed 0.8%, while the Nasdaq Composite added 0.9%. Elsewhere, the Stoxx Europe 600 rose 0.4%, with the shares of industrial goods companies and insurers among the biggest gainers. The euro was recently down 0.5% against the dollar. Hong Kong's Hang Seng closed 1.8% higher, hitting a fresh record. Japanese stocks rebounded from Monday's sell-off, with a weaker yen helping the country's exporters. The Nikkei finished up 1% at a fresh 26-year high. In China, the Shanghai Composite gained 0.8%, rallying from downbeat trading Monday, and Shenzhen Composite rose 0.7%. So, everything's doing good in business. Let's get into this news about Bitcoin. Bitcoin plunges as low as $10,400 in volatile trading on Coinbase, now down 27% from record. Bitcoin briefly plunges more than 40% from its all-time high reached Sunday, according to Coinbase. Trading on Coinbase was disabled for more than 2 hours in the middle of the day. CME's Bitcoin futures expiring in January reached, quote, limit down, unquote, off 20%. Stocks that soared above dramatically on speculation around their connection to Bitcoin and its underlying blockchain technology also fall. Bitcoin plunged Friday, taking the digital currency briefly below $11,000 and down 47% from a recent high hit at the start of the week. Bitcoin had rallied to a record high above 19,800 on Sunday and was trading near $15,500 for much of Thursday New York time, according to Coinbase. But an afternoon sell-off accelerated into the night and Coinbase dropped 30.2% Friday morning to a low $10,400 on Coinbase. It had recovered above 14,600 on Friday afternoon, off 27% from the all-time high. Explanation for the sell-off and extreme volatility. Quote, I would say the drop in Bitcoin is a result of the massive new inflows of retail investors who are relatively sorry about that, I apologize. Relatively, quote, weak hands, unquote, and more prone to sell prices than the capital that has been in the system for a while that has a longer term outlook, end quote. Alex Sonnerborg, founding partner at crypto fund Tetras Capital, said in an email. Adding to the confusion, trading on Coinbase was disabled for more than 2 hours in the middle of the day. The company had more than 13 million users at the end of November. Its lows, Bitcoin had fallen 47% in its 5 days and lost about $9,400. The digital currency erased more than $1,000 in 1 hour alone Friday morning. My dogs just came in here raising hell. Folks, I could go on for about another 40 minutes or so, but I'm not going to. I want to take these... Lay down, Roscoe. I want to take these last few minutes to go over some of the sales we've got right now at alexmorganshow.org. Yeah. podcast show. I apologize, folks. My internet's acting up this morning, and I don't have any help in this show whatsoever. See some mistakes I need to go back and correct a little bit. Here you have our Hillary Clinton campaign socialism t-shirt. On the front it's got the Alex Morgan show. On the back it's got like the little Hillary sign, you know, the H with the arrow making it an H, whatever. The horizontal line going through the H is, you know, the arrow that makes the Clinton campaign logo. Well, it's made into a park bench with a little old lady sitting there. That is a long sleeve shirt, t-shirt. It's $29.99 right now. I also have rechargeable batteries for sale. You can order the charger pack, the AAAs. You can order the 4-pack of the rechargeable batteries. They're $10.99. The AAAs, they're $11.99. I've got some podcast and recording studio equipment if anybody's interested in any of that. Could probably do some free shipping on all that electronic stuff. Here's the headphones, which I'm wearing right now. They're on sale, $24.99. Got the little podcast mic and phone. But yeah, and we also have the Trust Me, I'm a Conservative Obama Hillary 100% cotton t-shirt. It's got a picture of Obama as a Hillary Clinton transvestite on the back. AlexMorganShow.org on the top. I actually need to change that, but that's about all the products I have right now. I do mean to add some more, and I'm going to change all those electronics to free shipping. That's about all I have there right now. But yeah, go check it out, AlexMorganShow.org/store for all your shopping needs. Like I said, I'm going to be adding some new products here in a little while. I really hope that y'all reach out to me, and like if there's nothing on there that you need, I'm the type of guy, I'm just going to go ahead and be upfront with you guys. Most products, I make a $5 profit. I'm not going to lie. I don't get this stuff at a reasonable deal, or it would be even cheaper. Tell you what, it's hard to beat Walmart prices. It really is. But now, I'm not like a lot of people who does this sort of thing, who's going to tell you that they're the best prices in the world, because you probably can find, you know, that same stuff cheaper on Amazon, just to be honest. But you're going to be supporting people like Jeff Bezos and Amazon, who gets $1.30 something of your tax dollars for every package that they ship, folks. Okay, just like I sit right here and told you, I'm the type of guy, I'm honest. I make maybe a $5 profit on each product that I sell on my website. But I'll tell you, I'm 100% serious. I go in the hole every single month on this show, okay? I pretty much do it, fund it on my own with the help of, you know, my family members, my clan members, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, if it wasn't for people like that, I don't know what this place right here would do. I tell you what, there wouldn't be no Alex Morgan show. I can tell you that much. But yeah, there's nothing on the online store that y'all need or want. There's a link on alexmorganshow.org. You can donate. You can send me money through PayPal, GoFundMe, or send me $5, whatever. I would really appreciate it. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all have a happy Tuesday. And invest in the stock market, folks. The time has never been better than now. And I'd say by the end of the day, there's going to be a new record for the Dow, and yeah, things are good, folks. This is awesome. But thanks for listening. I love y'all. I won't be too long. I'll be back before you know it. alexmorganshow.org. Check it out. Later.